Unidentified vessel, identify yourself immediate. Repeat. Unidentified vessel, identify yourself immediately, was Blin's immediate communications prompt. The large, seed-shaped ship was massive. It was by no means a capital ship, but Blin had never seen anything like it. It didn't look like any cargo or mining vessel that Blin had ever seen. Playing the station sensors over the vessel seemed to be far heavier and far more shielded than was standard. Blin wondered if perhaps the company's prototype was some kind of just shown up. Perhaps there would be a reward, or a death warrant. Elders in the higher technology families were very particular about who knew about their developments, assuming it was a Quinn design, which Blin was quick to start doubting, as the sensors revealed chambers 50% larger than those aboard their station. Why would another species be testing a prototype so close to Quinn space? Was this some kind of malfunction? Or was this intended as some kind of first strike? The communications prompt recycled again and again, but no answer yet. The vessel appeared to shudder slightly and glow like a star for a moment, but stationary. After that moment, it returned to normal. The sensors capturing the event twitched, but gave no indication as to what had just happened. A laser communication connected. Our sincerest apologies for our unexpected close arrival. Vessel reports TSS Esperanto. Captain Rixim commanding. Tacit Munto 41972 translating. Please reply with lexicon, came the text readout. Blin shook their feathers twice. A tacit that wasn't on itself? And what's more, a tacit being here? Tacits were rare, and typically only present at major species gatherings. Out of 100,000 vessels that would pass through a system, perhaps one would be a tacit. But Blin's system should have automatically understood what a tacit looked like, and it should not have taken that long for the tacit to respond. Blin's pin feathers felt fuzzy as they sent over the local lexicon. TSS Esperanto, is it? This is Nieves Solar Ranger Station 3. Please identify status, Blin sent back vocally via the laser link. TSS Esperanto reports no casualties, no hardware malfunctions. Origin 371Z.2871E.271910Q, reported the text. It took Blin a full 2 minutes to punch in that origin code, it being a fully formed origin code, not the abbreviated ones they had come to know well. When Blin saw the origin point, they knew this had to be a special prototype of some kind. No known ship could cross that kind of distance without stopping for recharge, especially one of that magnitude. Even if a good chunk of the vessel were dedicated to storage, which the vessel could have been, but given the shielding, Blin had no way of knowing. TSS Esperanto's captain seeks voice communications. Live translation via text is available. Does Nivet Solar Ranger Station 3 accept? Came the follow-up text. Blin was still very confused, but perhaps this was how whomever controlled their system operated with tacits. Having never dealt with one and only having heard stories about them, they had no real answers. I accept, Blin vocalized to the link. Hello there, I'm Rex. I come in peace, was the strangest sound that was emitted. Hello there, my designation is Rex. Translation note, Captain Rixim. I arrive with no ill intentions towards yourself, was the matching readout. I am Station Master Blin of the Quinn. To which species am I communicating? Blin was slightly annoyed at having to be more formal, but given the legendary translation of the tacits, they didn't want to be any less than exacting. Terran or human, depending on who you're talking to. What's a Quinn, em? The strange sounds continued. Species designation, Terran, extinct. Inquiry to Tacit regarding species designation, Quinn, was the readout. Blin shook their feathers again. An extinct species was allegedly on the other end of this? What kind of joke was this? I do not appreciate the attempted humour. Please provide the appropriate species name, Blin muttered into the voice link, perhaps a bit more stuffily than they intended. Species designation Terran. Extinction status appears to be an error. Docking requested. Species tolerances within 2% for atmosphere and normal Quinn gravity, came the text readout without the sounds. What about quarantine procedures? Blin had to take a moment to think of the term. They hadn't needed it in so long that they were surprised they remembered it. One moment, please. Blinn tried to think about what they could do if this Terran, whatever that was, wanted to dock. And what did they want to dock for? Were they lost? Out of fuel for whatever their system was? There were some medical tools available on the station, but they were little more than stabilizing systems and stasis with automated distress systems. Identify reason for docking request? Blinn tried. Captain wishes to meet a Quinn. Xenophiles were unusual, but it would be fairly odd to have one in charge of a secret prototype, at least in Blinn's opinion. One would think that a xenophobe would be much more oriented to keeping such technologies internal, so as to capitalize on it for their house. Even the xenophiles who came through the inner systems were little more than menials, working for the benefit of being able to see the universe, such as it is. Is Nivet's Solar Ranger Station 3 equipped with Level 2 portable medical fields? Blinn had to search in their computer. In theory, the Ranger Station was supposed to be able to function as a fully independent surgical center. In practice, most of the necessary gear was out of date or in need of repair. A portable medical field generator was a heavy piece of gear that could provide an area of effect sterilization zone. It tended to require skilled users in order to set it up though, and a level 2 was of the heavy-duty variety. Blinn was lucky there. Heavy duty for the Quinn was usually just enough compared to the galactic standards, at least in the biochemical context. That meant that any portable medical field that would be aboard would almost certainly be a level 2. It took several further minutes, but they located that it should be in the far docking bay. Level 2 portable medical field generator on board. I don't know the status though, Blinn vocalized without thinking about it. Understood. Awaiting status update. TSS Esperanto Station keeping their position. Blinn tapped their way down the corridors, their claws scraping a bit in the speed of their passage. This would be so much faster if they could fly, but these halls weren't big enough for flying without risking their wingtips. Upon reaching the far docking bay, it took more than 30 minutes to locate the container holding the portable medical field generator. Sadly, it was on the top shelf and weighed more than Blinn. Blinn glanced at the loader. Technically, they had been trained on it. Technically, they could use it. Realistically, there was something about the loader that bothered Blinn. It just looked wrong, almost terrifying to Blinn. Something in how it was constructed, perhaps? Carefully, Blinn climbed into the loader and checked the power cells. It was low, but should work for as long as they needed. It took them another full 10 minutes to get the loader into position and began lifting down the container. It was also then that one of the primary pistons froze. Blinn despaired. They couldn't shift the generator, and they certainly weren't repair qualified to try and fix the loader. Blinn shut down the loader, locking it in place as best as they were able, and sped their way back to the command station. Station 3 calling TSS Esperanto, they vocalized. TSS Esperanto receiving. Generator unavailable due to hardware issues. I wouldn't be able to set it up even if I could get it down, Blinn said, pin feathers feeling smooth. There were a few moments before the next message came in, just long enough for Blinn to wonder if the message had been received. Generator malfunction or generator location relative to airlock controlling docking bay? What? What's that supposed to mean? Was Blinn's automatic vocalization. Please identify nature of generator non-availability. It's stuck on the loader in the docking bay. I can't move it myself and it's locked into the loader anyway. Blinn's pins felt fuzzy again. Another few moments passed. Loader vacuum rated? What? Why? Blinn felt even more confused. No update came as a result of the query. Blinn took a moment to think. Yes, technically the loader was vacuum rated, but they never operated it in a vacuum before, and maintenance of the loader was supposed to be done in atmosphere in any case. Maybe this Esperanto had a loader or some auto-repair system that could help and to keep the quarantine exposure risk low. The captain or the Tacit wanted to try working in the vacuum. It was surprisingly forward-thinking. Blinn was intrigued by this the more they considered it. Yes, the loader is technically vacuum rated. I've never used it that way before, though. Blinn vocalized after a bit. Understood. Please approve approach for docking to related docking bay and prepare for depressurization in docking bay. Copy all. I guess I'll see you in a few then, Blinn said, tapping up the right authorization codes and sending them. the station already beginning to wake up the distant docking bay mechanisms and checking the airlocks. Blinn then connected their headset, an audio-visual device which acted as a kind of heads-up display, to the communications system. It was imperfect and Blinn hated to use it, but in order to work, this kind of coordination between the station and the Esperanto, whatever it was, they would need to have the live communications, especially while in the loader. Blinn hurried down and climbed into the loader, depressurizing the buttons to enclose the loader around them. Already, Blinn could feel the claustrophobia getting to them. The power was still low, but manageable. Toggling the remote airlock and depressurized controls from heads-up display, Blinn watched as the chamber around them seemed to have a spur of wind before going silent. For just that moment of wind, Blinn wanted to be planetside again, floating in the air, feeling the wind in their feathers. And just like that, the moment was gone, and Blinn turned back to the task at hand. Through the feet of the loader, Blinn felt the heavy clunks of the docking arms engaging. It wouldn't be long now. It wasn't going to be their first exposure to a xenospecies, merely a rarity in their experiences. Turning their head to look at the docking airlock, Blinn waited to see what stepped through. The simple mechanical walking frame made Blinn almost instantly sigh with relief. They weren't going to be trapped inside this loader facing a Terran, something the Tshirt had apparently mislabeled as extinct. However, when the massive figure began to emerge from behind the walking frame, Blinn wanted to panic. It was too big to be an organic, right? It had to be. It had to be some kind of cargo walking frame, like a smart version of the walking frame. Blinn tried to calm down, but couldn't seem to, as the massive figure approached the loader with the walking frame. The figure gestured at the loader and at the equipment, apparently talking with the walking frame via some sort of direct communications. The walking frame moved up and appeared to look at the loader, possibly scanning it. No. Whatever the massive figure was, it was no machine. That much was obvious. It was then that the massive figure jumped and reached out towards the container holding the medical field generator. The jump had to have been mechanically assisted. Even Blinn couldn't jump like that standard gravity. Blinn checked the loader's readings and confirmed that there was still a standard gravity outside, even if there was no atmosphere. Blinn considered the figure. Bipedal, two upper limbs with grips that looked like they belonged to a heavily specialized loader or repair system. A fully reflective helmet hiding the face of the being. Whatever the being was, it was different from anything Blinn had ever encountered, even in their explorations of fictional species. The walking frame, mostly unnoticed, had gone over to the nearby station panel and plugged itself in. It wasn't until Blinn got a message via the heads-up display that they realized that the walking frame had connected in. Please identify issue with loader. Are you in here with me? Blinn asked, wary of the reported abilities of Tshirt. Only to the extent required, came a mechanical voice. Hello, Blinn said, caught off guard by the voice. I am Munto. The other being is the Esperanto's captain, Rix. Please allow us to assist with your loader. The mechanical voice said, and the heads-up display flashed a room for pleasant greeting. One of the pistons is stuck. I'm not rated in loader repair, Blinn managed, taking a moment to digest the rune. They hadn't used runes in so long, it took a second to remember the meaning. The walking frame apparently communicated this to the large figure, which moved closer to the loader. The large figure then drew back an upper appendage and hit one of the pistons. The hit made the whole of the loader shudder, Blinn feeling as though they had just been struck as the loader had been. Please try and lower the container now, the mechanical voice said, as the large figure stepped back out of the way. Blinn was skeptical and, keeping an eye on the large figure, depressured the lever to lower the container. The piston, which had been stuck, slid smoothly downward this time, and the container rested on the floor. We will set up the generator if you are unable to, or we can return to our vessel until you have enabled it, the voice Blinn knew as Munto, the Tshirt, said. I wouldn't know the first thing about it, Blinn admitted. Back in the loader as far away from the large figure as possible. Very well. I will need to disconnect, but you can begin refilling the space with standard atmosphere once I signal you, Munto said. Blinn watched in a kind of stunned silence as the walking frame went over and opened the locks to the container, apparently too small for the larger being to manipulate in their pressure suit. The larger beam manipulated the container as though it was little more than an annoyance. The walking frame plugged into the container contents, a Quinn standard portable medical field generator. It wasn't one of the self-powered varieties, which Blinn noted as the large figure took a cable from beside the generator and walking it to an outlet on the side of the bay. It took far less time than Blinn expected, but the walking frame appeared to manipulate the generator far faster than they ever might have. The silvery light of the active generator began to gently fill the bay. The walking frame waved at Blinn, and Blinn triggered the pressurization sequence. The walking frame and the large figure appeared to just stand in place, waiting for the air to return. The large figure made some vague gestures, one that Blinn couldn't follow, but it seemed that the walking frame of the Tacit and the large figure were communicating. None were made in the direction of Blinn. Once the air returned, Blinn unlocked the loader from vacuum mode and switched it off, climbing down. The large figure had removed their helmet and was looking at Blinn intensely when Blinn looked over. Blinn screeched in alarm and collapsed.